Hey guys, welcome back to Way Off Central. If you missed the pilot, you haven't missed much. Wouldn't even bother. This is episode 2, and we'll probably start with just talking a little bit about ourselves, I think, because at the moment we don't really know what we're about. So, starting with myself, just a couple of years out of school, took up carpentry for all of 1 year, and now
Couldn't handle it.
Yeah, something like that, sure. And now I'm just into a information technology apprenticeship.
He takes stock at JB Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's funny to think about that little subject change there from woodwork to computer work. Really makes me wonder. Like, were you that committed to the woodwork to the start with?
No, actually, because what happened for me was, so I got my offer to go to uni and accepted that, and instead of deferring it, just accepted it. Sort of mucked around for a week and went, nah, this isn't for me.
They sent you
yet.
the bill for the...
Oh, no, that was the big thing. I didn't want to come out with a big old debt, so I thought... And I saw an ad for this carpentry thing. So I backed out of uni, took up carpentry for a year. First 6 months, as all first-year apprenticeships go, you're like, By the back end, I was actually really enjoying it. But because in that first 6 months, I was like, So I applied for this IT thing because this was another thing that I was actually really interested in and I really wanted to do. So I got that and found out literally that I had the job with a B stick left of the year, like maybe not even a month out till the end of the year. So I've just gone, mate, I got put on this merit list like a year ago, just acted like I didn't apply for the job while I was working for him. Absolutely applied for the job while I was working for him. It didn't, yeah.
Ulterior motives entirely.
Yeah, and no, it wasn't like I was disliking carpentry, and it's a good profession, but it just wasn't. It was the opportunity I got given was too good to turn down, I think.
Yeah, realistically, probably a smart option.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one thing to note about Aiden. He can talk his way out of a paper bag.
Yeah. Oh, mate, concrete room, and I'll get myself out.
His arsehole does get jealous with the amount of shit that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of backstory on yourself, Harper. I'm probably the least interesting here.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I think we've all got a bit of merit to our stories. I sort of fit in the same category as Aiden. Obviously, we all went to school together, so there was there's that link, obviously. So I sort of came straight out of college, did reasonably well. Probably could have tried a lot harder.
Couldn't we all though?
Oh yeah.
You're telling me?
So college, for anyone who's not in the ACT listening to it, is just years 11 and 12. So It's just senior high school, but we call it college in Canberra. Why is beyond me, just because...
Essentially, it's the ACT's great idea to take all the great relationships you've got with like teachers and friends and whatnot, and for the last 2 years, like probably the most important 2 years of your schooling, they're like, fuck you. Let's see what happens. Let's see how you do in the real world.
That's pretty much it. Like, why make another school change?
Yeah, it's
really
ridiculous.
Instead of having most high schools just have a secondary or a senior school or whatever. They make you go to a whole new one for the most of us, those that aren't in the private system.
Yeah. So anyway, came out of college, and my first step was I thought I wanted to join the military. So went and did all the application process, got in, and went for my first 2 weeks. And sort of by the end of the first 2 weeks, I was like, actually, this really isn't what I want to do. So quickly jumped out of that, and made a run for an electrical apprenticeship.
Yeah, right. Because you really you had your heart set on being a pilot for a while, hey?
Yeah, so I definitely wanted to be a pilot. Didn't quite make the cut. Probably could have tried a second time, but I think having thought about the whole process, by the end of it, I didn't want to go back to the military. I thought a lot about it at that point, and yeah, it seemed like the wrong choice. So yeah, jumped out, got onto a Sparky's apprenticeship, and since then just sort of moseyed on, made some friends, met some new people, made some good and bad decisions, but
yeah, nice.
we'll get into that later in the podcast.
Flying a plane, was that fun? Like, I
Oh.
assume it was.
Oh, it was the best. It was probably the best 8 hours that I've had in a long time.
Playing for 8 hours.
Well, you do 8
That's,
hours over the
that's
course
here to
of, like-
Singapore.
Yeah, but like you're doing loops and stuff and like.
I'm
cool
flat out
maneuvers
staying
and
awake for
whatnot.
8 hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, actually, right.
Nah, 8 different instances
Yeah.
of an hour.
You
Still
know
pretty
the Malaysian plane? That was the one he flew.
fun. Yeah, what, like MH17 or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Hey.
So-
One of them. Yeah, well, like Harper said, we all went to school together and went to the same college and come back in year 11, start of year 12. I was like, don't really know if I want to go to uni. So what's the point of doing another year of schooling if I don't know what I want to do? So sort of just got a gig with plumbing.
Your
and-
10th certificate was good enough, eh?
Yeah, look, yeah, just started a plumbing apprenticeship and luckily I liked it and stuck with it and now here I am.
Yeah, good stuff.
Can't ask for
'Cause-
much more than that.
Because I actually met you two playing footy, really. Because you guys went to school together and you were close mates. And then I changed footy clubs, came to you guys. And
Good decision. that
then
one.
we just sort of, I mean, we chatted a bit, but we really weren't all that close. Like, if I saw you, I would have talked to you. But never really went.
Are you saying before you were on our football team, if you saw us, you would have talked to us?
No, like, for the first probably year or two that I was on the same football
Yeah.
side as you guys. Like, we were mates. We played footy together and we'd have chats and stuff. But never really saw you outside of that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I barely recognised you when we played against you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't ever remember being friends with you on Facebook for the first year you played with.
Probably not, no. And I definitely couldn't decipher who was Joel and who was Thomas
Oh, there you go.
till halfway through year 11.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, it
that
took
late.
me ages.
Having said that, college probably, like, college was a really good thing in that regard because we wouldn't really be friends otherwise.
College was good for that, hey. And I probably thank Pat for that, really. Because I was close with Pat through year 10. And then when you guys came back, he came back to you guys. And then Pat sort of brought me along. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a good move for the group, really.
Begs the question, should Harper and I have gone to Erindale for year 10? But I did enjoy the final year at Chisholm.
Year 10 at Chisholm was awesome.
I think I'm glad it happened the way it happened. Because I don't think things would have fell as well as they did had you guys had come to Arundel in year 10.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's probably an accurate assessment.
So do we want to move on to our first topic?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for it.
what's up?
Let's have a
Let's
look.
do it.
Let's have a look because we've written a few down this week. It's not so willy-nilly.
Yeah, we're not just moseying about sitting in a dining room, no dog barking in the background, no people washing dishes.
Yeah.
Actually got a bit of an acoustics system set up.
I've just got a couple of mattresses along the wall.
Follow
So
us
if we-
on Instagram at Way Off Central to see what we're talking about.
Yeah. So if we say Harper, we're referring to Josh. Sorry, that is just force of habit.
Yeah, it's probably something we
Yeah,
should have
that's
cleared
his-
up a little earlier.
That's his last name.
There are only 3 of us.
Yeah.
Keep in mind all the time. All right, so our first topic is photo bombing.
Yeah, and I just think this is underrated, okay? Because photobombing is one of those things that I find really, really funny. And I think the funniest moment for me photobombing was myself, my stepdad, and my stepbrother. We were up on the Gold Coast and we were having dinner at... It's this Mexican place called Montezuma's. Used to be quite big. Now there's just a few around Queensland. And these people are having a 21st birthday. This girl's having a 21st birthday, but it's like a quiet one. Like it's just her and her family, and they're clearly just having a nice dinner. And we're at this booth right behind them, and I reckon for 5 photos in a row, and these were all the photos they took all night. You've got us pulling faces and flipping the bird in the background, and then we're just out of there.
You couldn't give them one. You couldn't give them one photo.
Nah, screw that. They're going to look back at those photos and go,
Fuck
these.
these
Either they're going to be real
hilarious.
angry or, these guys. No, and you know it was good. So, you know how Chris Lilly did that show, Angry Boys? I don't know if this was a thing before then, but the sneaky nut. So, there was a a whole episode on Nathan, one of the boys, doing sneaky nuts. So then I started pulling them out with Mum's family photos.
Brilliant.
And Mum's literally about to send one to my grandmother. She goes, oh, and for whatever reason, she's going, do you think this is a nice photo to send to Grandma? Not knowing, I went, Mum, you cannot send that one. I got real good by the end. She'd take like selfies of the four of us in the car, and I'd be in the back seat, roll my shorts up, and away we go.
I'm pretty sure back in high school we got a particularly good one. Like it was all the boys on a big footy team. I can't remember who it was, but there was a definite and significant sneaky nut in that photo, and the teacher, she didn't find out for ages. It wasn't until like the next year that we actually told her, "Hey, miss, did you ever notice this?" And she was furious. Actually, was she furious?
Yeah, she wanted it taken down, and the main reason was we had a TV set up in the front office at our high school that played pictures on a loop of all the classes and sporting events, and once maybe every 45 seconds you'd get a nut on your screen, and no one saw it but us.
Yeah, we all knew it was there, and we loved it.
That's unreal. That my stepmom had me and my three little brothers take a nice little photo. We're out by the beach, and I did the ball gazer symbol, and she probably took about, I want to say, 15 photos, and I only did that ball gazer symbol, which is now sort of controversial. I think it's meant to be now like a white supremacist thing, but
What?
Really?
What?
yeah, have you guys not heard that?
No, I've not
Apparently
heard
it's like
that
a
at all.
white supremacist symbol now, but I only always knew it just as that ball gazer game.
Well, like
typically
it's just like it's a symbol for
It-
okay.
Yeah, it's an okay symbol, but I heard somewhere that it's a white supremacist symbol anyway.
Bit odd.
Out of all the photos, she puts that one all over Facebook. Hey,
Classic. Furious when she found out.
hasn't found out yet, and she shared it recently because it was like 1 or 2 years ago, and then the memory popped up, and then
Oh.
she reshared it again.
Thank you,
no.
Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
What a gem. Is there any other types of photo? Look, sneaky nut, hilarious. Ball gazer was funny to me when I was younger. Is there any other one apart from like a silly face in the background?
I mean, it's good if you can just get like a solid headshot, like just a head. But yeah, I don't know.
I think I might have seen some full moons actually.
Yeah, moons aren't bad.
Moons are good if you can pull them off. Brilliant. Really
Yeah. Oh, good.
Genius.
But it's a lot of effort, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
That's
Even
what
just
makes them
something like far in the background that's like completely outrageous.
Oh, so I've just done a little bit of reading. So it turns out that ball gazer, or the OK symbol, was a hoax. So it wasn't a white supremacist thing.
Okay.
But just reading here, so apparently it was chosen for that because of this speaker called Milo Yiannopoulos. Have you guys heard any of his stuff?
No.
So he's a real... He's come over here, I know, at least once. Big journalist. He's British. Lives over in the States, I think. He's very sort of... He's very right-wing, but he's gay, but he was against gay marriage, but now that it's legal, he's married a black man, but he's also... like thinks all those progressive sort of movements like Black Lives Matter are rubbish. It's real weird. He goes to college campuses. Like some of his stuff, I hate to
Oh.
say it. Yeah,
I think I did see a video on this guy. Yeah.
yeah. Some of his stuff, I definitely agree with. He goes on a lot about saying how rape culture on college campuses in the US, college being in this case university, is bullshit, and he makes solid cases for it. Some of his other stuff, I'm like, you're saying this to be controversial, like, and that's what he does, and it's entertainment though. But yeah, he'd be an interesting one, I think. So for next episode, I reckon we all at least have a little bit of a look at him, because I think that could be really, really good, a good chat.
We
Him-
better write down his name because I've already forgotten it.
Milo Yiannopoulos. I won't forget his name. Him and Ben Shapiro, because I've seen a lot of their sort of videos, and they're actually really quite interesting.
This could flow into another topic. He's heard about like the laws that have been passed in Alabama or Texas, wherever it is.
The recent like abortion,
abortion ones.
issue.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So personally, I think if it's your body, you should sort of be allowed to do what you want. Like, up until the point where, like, I don't think abortions are right if it's like real late. But realistically, if a being's in no way conscious and you don't want it, you're not in a reasonable... Because really the only time... So one argument for this is, unless you're raped, it's incest, or it puts the mother or the baby's health at risk, then it's okay. And I sort of think I think it's okay whenever.
Yeah, I agree. It's also your body. You do what you want, and a part of that is like all these girls are saying, white men should not be determining what girls can do with their bodies. But
any male, men should not make decisions for women's bodies, and I tend to agree with that.
I feel like it's not as complex as that. It should be, if it's your body, do what you want. It shouldn't be these guys controlling what girls can do with their bodies.
Couple of points. One, it's not you. It's got nothing to do with you. If you don't, you know what? If you don't want, to have an abortion, or you don't want abortions to be a thing, don't have an abortion. But if someone else does, it's kind of got nothing to do with you. Like, don't be worried about, it's killing babies. It's not. Like, I mean, when you make it, if you try and rationalize it like that, then yeah, you're going to see it as wrong. Because if you have a newborn baby and then you want to kill it, then yeah, I believe that's wrong. That's infanticide.
I sure hope so. You think
that's
it's wrong?
absolutely wrong. But especially like if you don't want to be a mother, you don't want to be a parent, and then they're forcing you to be because the condom slipped up. Like, that seems a bit rough.
It's disgusting.
It seems fucking rough.
Yeah.
And, maybe there's a big religious case for it. Then, again, same principle. If you're not going to force your religion on other people, don't force that, because I just view that as another belief. And I actually struggle with... Because I like to play devil's advocate in a situation like this. I would like to, even though maybe it's not what I agree with, I'd like to present the argument against abortion. Against abortion. But I struggle to rationalise it. Like, I don't know how or what sort of case you can make, because unless it's purely just emotional, there's no real case for it. I don't see.
See, that's exactly right. So straight away, you two have jumped to like it's a social rights issue. Like, men shouldn't have the opportunity to judge, a woman's situation. And like, that's totally right. I entirely agree with that. But if you take it back a step and take away, like, well, for example, social interaction or anything of that nature, you can strip it back to simple rationality. If you've got a kid if you have a woman who, all right, let's say she's not necessarily been raped or anything, but she's in no way to have a child, right? She can't economically afford that. Like, she's in a bad position already. Let's say, I don't know, lower middle class. That's typically the sort of person that I would think would be getting these abortions. They're the sort of people that a lot of the protests and news articles are mentioning and representing.
Yeah, maybe not based on statistics, because we haven't got that up at us, but
this is what
rational
seems to be
thinking,
the case.
and I could only assume that it would probably fit that. The statistics would support that. And if they don't, and you are listening, by all means, please do comment, do some research for us, as I'm just not going to Google it right this second.
But the fact is, it's not a rational idea unless the child is going to have above, or like at a minimum of the average opportunity. It just should, like, straight away at that level, it shouldn't be brought into the world. Realistically, like, if we want to develop...
That's a slightly bigger call, I
like,
think. Like, that's like saying anyone who's in poverty, they shouldn't ring
That's exactly what I'm saying. If we strip away all social interaction from it and we take it back to like the bare necessities, then abortion works as a system to like reduce poverty and reduce negative effects on the world.
Well, really, it's just overpopulation, and it's
Exactly.
anything that's going to aid that is probably beneficial, provided it's not murder, because people view it as murder, and it's not. It's a medical procedure.
Yeah,
It's
see,
like,
that's
I don't
jumping
view-
back on the social thought of it.
Yeah, I don't view the aiding of, the aiding of suicide as murder. If people are unwell and they want to pull the plug, then I don't view that as murder. I view that as a medical procedure.
Yeah, see, it like the only reason these things have problems is because people associate their emotion with everything.
Exactly. There are so
And-
many more like outlying factors that should determine whether or not abortion should be illegal. Like Aiden said, there's nearly no there shouldn't be, especially now. Maybe 80 years earlier, when people were a little less probably civilized.
Yeah.
Maybe they could make a case for it then, but now 2019, it shouldn't be even a question.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm not going to say, I can't say emotion has no place in the making of laws.
Oh,
I
it
think
definitely
because
does.
well, I don't know if it does. I think morality does.
Yeah,
It-
okay,
it becomes
and-
a bit of a moral issue, but I don't think that it has. I don't think emotion has any more right to be in our laws than religion, and I don't view religion to have a right in making of laws. Morality, yes. Religion, no, and I view them as two very separate things.
As separate as they are, though, like
Just because they overlap. Don't get me wrong; they have parts that overlap, but they are separate.
yeah, they're separate things that need to be considered in order to work out the essential whole. And that essential whole in this situation is that not having abortion is like it's not going to solve any problems.
Yeah,
Abortion is only going, when thought of responsibly, it's only going to help situations.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think what illegalizing anything like this makes it more dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Think
Pardon
about
me, it's
people
like,
doing home procedures. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's far worse. It's sort of the same as drugs in a way. In that regard, like I don't really believe in. Look, drugs aren't for me. I don't do them myself, but I don't think illegalizing all of them has clearly gotten anyone anywhere. Like it's just made things more dangerous because it's not regulated.
Exactly.
If you regulate stuff, then it's gonna probably work out for the better if history's shown us anything. And I just don't think, as a whole, progressive, reasonable countries ban abortion.
Personally, like this is the only reason I can come up with for.
And against.
Well, yeah, like this is the only thing I could possibly fathom as to why people are fighting to stop abortion is because maybe like an older generation is seeing it as a younger generation taking an easy way out as opposed to taking their responsibility. But again, it's just that's the only sort of. It could just be jealousy, like an older generation is feeling they've been hard done by because they wanted the options that we now have. But again, jealousy, that's not a desirable trait. That's a poor choice on behalf of anyone who feels that way.
Look, if you can view it as an easy way out, but you know what?
Oh yeah.
Why shouldn't there be one? Like, why, if it's there, that's human nature to take the most efficient route. Like, why have someone who doesn't want to be a parent then be hamstrung and then not be able to, possibly do something that they feel will make them a more productive part of society? They can't do their bit. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't want to be a parent and you're then forced to be a parent because you weren't allowed to have an abortion, and then, you have worse career opportunities, maybe you don't start that business you want to do, like it's a million different possibilities. But I think it's stripping someone's right to be with the society away if that's not what they want to do.
Going through Instagram and seeing all the girls like share on their Instagram stories, Snapchat stories of like saying that these men shouldn't be allowed to have a choice in what girls should do. And again, we're all in agreement they shouldn't. And I saw one of the pictures was like quotes from, I think, don't fact check me or anything, but like 14 men passed the law, and some of their quotes, like there was one that said hospitals now have like rape scrape kits to clean out the inside of a girl, so why should rape be illegal?
Yeah, mate. Look, I can't possibly imagine anyone saying that, because that's a ridiculous
I
statement.
can't. And if that was someone's words, he probably should be like
He
strung
should.
up by his
Yeah.
like hamstrings
Yeah.
and killed.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I think we've pretty much come to the end of that discussion. We
Yeah.
could probably skip to a bit of a lighter
Topic,
yeah.
because that was. Can I just say that abortion was not on the list,
Yeah, that was
and here we are.
100% free speech there.
That-
Look at us
yeah.
go. This has become a podcast.
Yeah, wow, just like that. That is raw.
Boom.
That is raw material, folks. Raw material.
Aiden said he had some like, it was a good topic. It's people blowing up at work, at either like apprentices or people below them in.
Yeah, so look, I saw a little bit of this. I actually saw a bit of this last year. Just being an apprentice with another apprentice. Like, I didn't really get blown up at all that often. But, like, I remember once or twice.
You were a pretty good apprentice, though. Like,
Look, I'd like to think so, because I never got in trouble. So, I only got in trouble once, and it's because I fucked up Smoko. Like, it wasn't even like... And
like,
it
that's a
wasn't-
big thing. You better.
Yeah, I know, but that's probably the only time I ever had the bosses like pissed off at me. But besides that, all was pretty good. But someone at work recently, and I can't name any of the above, but all I'll say is someone had written something up, and then they copped an absolute spray for it, like at the quality of it. And these were two people at a higher-ish level, and I thought, I never want to be the person sitting in that chair. But I think I'm not the best person to comment on this. I mostly brought this up for you guys because I thought, you guys work in trades. Surely you've seen some good ones at work. And I think the funniest thing that I've heard on this topic in a little while is Joel's story about the guy who'd done a bit of mun.
So we've got this new bloke that's just started with us, an apprentice.
Is he still there?
I believe so, to my knowledge, yes. I did
Wow.
see him last Friday when I went to get inducted on his job, and God forbid if he ever listens to this, I'm sorry. Nothing against you, but so he's under a really good foreman, probably, well, in my opinion, the best foreman that my company has to offer. And in this job, it's a refurb, turning an old, I think it was Department of Social Services building into a retirement home. And it's a huge job for us. And yeah, because it's a refurb, there's a lot of gutting out and a lot of quick cutting cement, jackhammering. And he's been put on a jackhammer. 4 hours he's lasted, and my boss is working away, and he hears the jackhammer stop. He goes, "What the fuck?" And then 30 minutes passes, and he comes dawdling in like a penguin. He's like, "When can I do something else?" And he's like, "Oh, you can pour the base of these pits if you want." He's like, "Yeah, no worries, I've done it before." He's like, "Oh, have you?" He's like, "Oh, I've mixed a bit of concrete in a bucket." What's the difference?
Good start.
It was brilliant. And my boss, that foreman is a really busy worker, and he took the time to call me during work hours, like at 1:30, and just talk shit. It was hilarious.
Yeah, because he made an estimate for an amount of concrete that you'd need, didn't he? Because I remember you saying he's estimated, you probably won't need that much. And then, didn't you say the foreman said something?
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you probably won't need that much. Oh, do do you want to run the blokes? Do you? I'll go on the jackhammer and like, oh, here, have the order book and my phone.
Yeah, I think it's a hard thing, and I can only assume it's gotten worse with our generation, but we just need to learn to suck it up for the few years like everybody else did, because that's sort of, whether it's necessary or not, people, maybe even Gen Y, but Gen X at least, want to see us go through at least a bit of what they went through to make sure that you can cut it in the real world. So, you know what? If you have to eat shit for a few years, my advice would be just fucking take it. Me personally, I got out, but
Couldn't take it.
yeah, pretty much. And yeah, just I think cop it for a few years. Like, it's not all that bad. I mean, Harper, you're what, a second year?
Yeah, so I'm a second year.
And you, I'm sure, get the occasional shit job, but because you've done well in this first year, as it would appear, you know, you don't seem to ever be unhappy with work. And Joel, by all recounts, from the little I've heard from even your bosses, they seem to think you're pretty good. And
So I'm a third year because obviously didn't finish college.
didn't finish school. So Joel, unlike Harper and myself, whilst he can, you know, take the shit, couldn't take the books. But
In layman's terms, I am a dropout.
Yeah.
Drop kick, sorry. And I agree with what Aiden said. Like, you eat shit, but the thing is, you shouldn't have to eat shit for years for your apprenticeship. You should have to eat shit for a couple months at the start. And if you've got a knack for it, you start working by yourself, working with the better people who want to work with you. They keep you by their side.
well, the idea is you do a shit job well, and then you get a good job. That's how it works. You do
Exactly.
your shit job well, you put some effort into that, they see you give a shit, and then like, okay, well, if he cares this much about this job, then we can put him on a better job. And
That's a
just
big
how it
thing.
works.
And like, I don't know, for me personally, I didn't get put on a lot of terrible work, but the fact is, regardless of the work I was doing, I was like, I'm doing my best work at it. You know, they're only going to put you doing a rubbish job if you do rubbish work, because then they don't care what you're doing. They're just like, oh, he doesn't care. Fine, we'll give him something that we don't care about. As soon as you actually show that, you know, you've got some initiative and you want to improve and, you know, you want to learn and that sort of thing, they say, yeah, cool. All right, let's teach you this. If you can do that well, we'll bump you up, do the next thing well, and it just follows on.
That's exactly right. If you care about the tasks that you're doing, people want to teach you things.
Yeah, exactly. Having said that, like, I think it's important to have a bit of foolery, a bit of camaraderie. It's fun to have a joke around people, and you know, you treat a few people differently, not for any reason. Like, if it's anything like racially,
Anything discriminatory. But,
yeah,
but I
that's
think it's
definitely not
just-
okay. But if it's you know, my tradesman has a bit of fun at me every now and again, and that's perfectly reasonable. And then as I've grown to respect him and he's grown to respect me as well, we're able to give it to each other over time.
Have you got any good stories about people getting blown up at, or?
Well, so I'm an apprentice. I'm only a second year, and I was travelling with the work experience that we had. And now he's been with us for a while, so he knows he's got his common sense about him. Like, he should know what's going on. And one day we're loading conduit, and he's taken it out to the van, and he's just sat it on top. And I've obviously been off organising other different bits and pieces, working stuff out, talking to the boss, getting stuff sorted. We've driven away, you know, we've jumped in the van. I'm like, yep, all good, everything's good. So we drive off, get to an intersection, and a pretty major intersection, like bypasses straight Canberra, like, you know, heavy trucks, heavy machinery all around the shop. Stop at the traffic lights, and wouldn't you know it, the conduit comes flying off into the centre of the like traffic lights.
Oh,
I looked up, like, a little bit shocked, and I was furious. I turned to my left, looked at him, and straight away he knew. Like, all the blood just ran out of his face. He was white, he was pale. I was like, this is big. Like,
You
didn't blow up.
What's Les's kid in The Big Lesher?
Quentin.
Exactly. Nah, so like, luckily the traffic lights were going red. Everybody had sort of slowed down, so we quickly jumped out of the van, ran, grabbed the conduit, and he's like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I was just like, "Throw it on the side of the road. We're coming back. We'll pick it up later." Got back in the van, went through the traffic lights, did a loop, got back to like pretty close to the spot. Hadn't said a word to him until that point, till we the van pulled up. Stop, hit the brakes, look at him, and I'm like, "Look, if I tell the bosses what's happened, they're gonna blow you up. They're gonna go nuts. You'll be buying 6 cases of beer every week for the rest of your life, because this is stuff like it just shouldn't happen." I said, "Look, I'm not gonna tell the bosses," but I looked him dead in the eye, like as serious a face as I could manage, because I was still furious. I was like, "This will never happen again."
You owe me.
Yeah, I was like, this is big. Do not ever mess up like this again, because it's just something that
It shouldn't have happened.
How
Yeah,
long is he with you for? Is he work experience kid?
Oh, like he's doing an ASBA now with us.
Oh,
and so
right,
this is
okay.
probably a couple months into his ASBA. So look, still pretty green. I don't expect him to fit off switchboards and do all sorts of electrical stuff. But I was like, this does not happen. And I think I wanted to make that so serious of a point, because I don't think blowing up at someone like that helps. I think you have to make a good point and be like, "Look, I'll come to terms with the situation. I'll come to the party. This is how it is. Don't let it happen again."
I think I react better that way, because I think if I was to get blown up at, I become very resentful.
Exactly.
But if you get just sort of told, and then you get a bit of positive reinforcement later, you're like, "Yeah, look, everything's okay. Just don't do that fuck up again." And for me, because people react differently, right? But for me, that's what I learned. You know what was that an expensive mistake? Like, would you claim that's an expensive mistake? Because I don't imagine conduit to be particularly expensive.
No,
it's just a frustrating and annoying mistake.
Yeah, particularly. But I also think about it in the way that if it had been, something substantial, like we do some work with, $10,000 equipment here and there. Like we're doing some work with some pretty expensive stuff. I think the fact is it could have been dangerous for people going through the intersection.
It reminds me though of a very expensive mistake that one of our mates told us. So we have another mate who's also doing an electrical apprenticeship, and he was running data with a company for a while there, and they were running fiber optic cable through and around, and the tradesman on site has said to this other apprentice, "Just stop it once you get to a certain point." So he's rolled out all this fiber optic cable, and instead of stopping pulling, he's literally, as in, cut it off. By that I mean he's got out his tin snips and cut his fiber optic cable. So for listeners that don't know, that's fucked. That is thousands upon thousands of dollars as far as a mistake goes. I can't imagine making a mistake. Like, I would hate that. Imagine making a mistake that expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be hard to handle that one, because what do you do as the boss? Do you fire him? Do you take money from him later on? Do you?
If you're an apprentice and you're like a first year, and by that I mean like a couple weeks into your apprenticeship, it's a green mistake. Like that is
very.
Yeah, and
it's nearly, why he did it, and if anything, emotion's going to take over, and he's done for. Like,
yeah, because here's the thing. I'm pretty sure the tradesman's exact words were, "Cut it off there," so you can understand his mistake. Yeah. The problem is, you can't cut fiber optic cable like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Joel. I think just out of pure rage, you go find someone else.
Take 4 weeks off, come back, and I'll make a decision then.
4 weeks unpaid leave.
Yeah.
Well, you'd almost have to for like a mistake like that. Like, that's pretty costly.
Yeah, I think we did the math, and I think we ranged it anywhere between $15,000 and $30,000 for smaller businesses, especially. So this I don't think is a very small business, but that is still problematic. Absolutely.
That's still a massive profit margin, or even just working margin.
100%.
If that job, if that company's like tight and under the pump, the corners that you have to cut to make up for that money,
Yeah, exactly.
like
Yeah.
they'd be lucky if something else didn't go wrong.
Yeah, well, that's it. Because you obviously have a little... You have a mistake margin, right?
Yeah.
Because you know shit happens. 30 grand?
No.
Nah.
It's a big margin.
That's a big old margin.
That's a fully qualified person for at least
It's probably
4.
about 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
You know, and the profit they turn over for you. Should we move on?
Yeah, touching back on Harper's story with the other apprentice in his car, road rage.
Yeah, that is a good topic that we did have written down.
I nearly get angry at people in the car just because. I'm not particularly angry. And then some days when I'm chilled, I'm vibing to some music, someone will like cut me off and they'll put an arm up in their rearview mirror or something. I'm like, no, all good. And then other times I like get in the overtaking lane, just big as greasy. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm like that as well. And I think it also depends where you are, right? Like, I'm in the work car park pulling out today and someone's pulled out and then they've waved sorry and I've gone, oh, no, of course, you know, it's all good. Any other car park, I'm
That was a
like, you,
Macca's car park.
you fucking pelican. You are... I don't know. I think it's hard. From everything I've seen, as you get older, you see our parents and they sort of remind you, they go, it's just driving, you know, that's all it is. You're not in a rush to go anywhere. Chill out. Don't get angry. I have had pretty limited experience with road rage. I've seen the worst shit happens in Sydney. Like, I've seen some shit in Western Sydney where 2 blokes have just got out of the car and like gone at it.
Jeez.
Like, holy shit. And it's funny, right? Because for me, with something like that, I'd be worried about the embarrassment of holding people up. Nah, car's parked, middle of a busy street, don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter who they're holding up. Everyone's tooting their horns behind it. They're like, piss off, we'll bash all you guys too. And then they fight each other. Like, it's weird. Weird stuff goes down.
I've done some crazy driving in Sydney. I dare say fresh on me peas.
Yeah.
I think everybody's like, I think it's a rite of passage for Canberra.
Yeah,
You get
follow
your P's, you have a trip to Sydney just to see if you can hack it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing. I almost feel like everybody should learn to drive in Sydney.
Yeah, 100%.
Because once you can deal with that rat race. But you know what I find? So here's what I find about Sydney, because they always bag on Canberra drivers. Don't get me wrong, we're not ideal. But I find that once it gets too up to speed, they feel uncomfortable. Hey, I think they're so used to this stop-start bullshit. Like, you get stuck behind people in the right-hand lane, traveling at 90 on the 100, and I swear they're always Sydney drivers. In Sydney, it doesn't happen that much in Canberra because people know. Because we have fast roads here. I've probably had maybe 3 blow-ups on the road. Like, I'll get angry, but I don't think I'll ever start like a full-blown road rage. See, but all it takes is if you flip me off.
Yeah.
And then I'm right up behind you. Like,
A honk will spike me blood pressure. I'm like, sorry, mate. I'll hear a toot. I'm like, righto, fuckwit.
yeah. Okay, hero.
Yeah, far out. So in Sydney, there's like 3 lanes, and the 2 left lanes can turn left. And this is the GPS telling me I've got like 50 metres. I managed to get in, and then it comes up onto a T intersection, and I'm like, oh, brilliant, made the left. And that says, and now there's three lanes somehow to turn left, and I need to be in the furthest left lane to turn left again in 20 metres. I'm like, fuck, I'll just floor it as hard as I can and cut off every dude and his dog. And I did, except the car next to me also floored it, this Range Rover. I was a bit ahead. I put it on the indicator on, turned, and just tyres Oh,
Commitment.
Yeah, nice.
heart was racing.
You know who really, I think, are the worst drivers on the road, at least in Sydney, because they believe they own it? Cab drivers.
Oh, I was about to say that.
Oh, just awful. They pull out in front of anyone. Like, I understand they're busy. It's their job. They've got places to go. But the rules that apply to us also apply to you.
Yeah, you've got to fit in.
Yeah, it's rough. It is rough. Everyone's done some dodgy stuff in Sydney. I think the worst thing I did was seen on like this real busy road. I was like, this is weird that parking is allowed along this left lane. But I parked there. I was still in the car. I was standing technically because the car was running. Had people running out. And I've just seen, it's the biggest herd of traffic I've ever seen come up behind me. And there's people tooting, can't move. Everyone's like merging. I'm looking up at this sign. No one's parked on the street. I've gone, no, it definitely says parking here. And then I look down at the time and it's like no parking between the hours of like 9 and 5. And it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm going, I see. I see the problem.
You've got a good story about the Raiders game on the weekend, road rage.
Oh, but coming into parking, yeah. So I've definitely got this trait from my stepdad, and it's really just not having a lot of time for rude people. So someone's been a bit rude, shaking their head, you've flipped a bird and stuff. And I swear, Mum was driving, wasn't doing anything wrong. It was just sort of tight traffic. Pulling into this car park, it's going to the footy, it's flat out, and he's got out of the car literally as traffic was still flowing. Like, the car was still just rolling. He's got out of the car and just blown up at this guy going, mate, fuck you shaking your head at? Like, not like, he's not a bogan. He's not an unreasonable dude. This guy was just being rude. He's gone, mate, like, seriously, what's the go? It's interesting. I think it's good when you confront people. Because if you're upfront with them, people just think they can get away with shit. No, be courteous. And when you call them out, they freeze.
Yeah,
More often
a
than
lot of
not,
people
they
will,
freeze. And
like,
this guy just froze. He was like, or I didn't. And like we all say, I watched him flip us the bird. Like,
a lot of people will instinctively avoid confrontation if it comes knocking.
fight or flight, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I work in sort of 3 ways in terms of road rage. There'll be a day where I'm, running behind schedule at work and I'm just furious. Anytime anybody does like anything slightly inconvenient, I'm furious. Like I won't blow up. I won't honk the horn or flip them off or anything. But then there's other days where I'm really chill. I'll be driving home from OzTag or something. Like, I've got nothing on tonight. I don't need to be anywhere. And I'll accidentally find myself just like sitting on 80 in the 100. And I just sort of think like, ooh, better speed back up. Like people are really going to be getting pissed at me.
Those parts that piss you off the most when people do that.
Exactly.
You nearly feel like this awesome like tranquility when you get lost in thought and you're sitting 20 under the speed limit.
Yeah, you're like, no, you know what? People can wait for me.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah, and
in recent times,
I don't know how to take it.
In recent times, I've sort of had things happen to me, and I've taken a step back to think, actually, no, look, I've done that before. I forgive you, or I've blown up, like just to myself, and then thought, actually, hang on, no, you like that was alright. You were allowed to do that. That's fine. Sorry.
So I think I was pretty blow up on people at the roadie when I was real fresh. So I think for the first 3 to 6, probably 3 months, like people would do stuff and I'm just blowing up.
Is this F1 driver?
Nah, not quite. And then
no, it's actually Colt Aiden.
Oh, and then after that, I think for the sort of probably year afterwards, real cash. Not like very. It would take a lot to phase me. Even if someone sort of flipped me off or tooted the horn, I just sort of go into my shell a little bit, forget about it. It's don't let it ruin your day. Drive off. And
Yeah,
then I
exactly.
reckon in the last sort of 3-4 months, I'm not full road rage, but maybe I've just gotten to the point where, hold up, no, guys, let's learn how to drive. This is shit.
Some
And
things are just ridiculous.
some things are just ridiculous. So I think I found a happy medium where, you know, I won't blow up unnecessarily, and any and all little things I'll absolutely let go and just drive away. And I feel like I'm pretty good for, if I do make a mistake, throwing my hand up. Like, I'm not going to then try and come up with something to blame the other person. But now that you know, I'm feeling, I'd like to say, comfortable on the road, if you're a fuckwit, I'll probably call you out.
The thing I hate most is people who take forever to indicate. If they've got an indication is not a promise, but if it's on, you've signaled that you're going. Go. Don't be a pussy. Merge the lane.
One of my biggest peeves is when, and there's a lot of situations in Canberra where it's applicable, people are coming in from a slip lane from somewhere and they're just not reaching the speed of the lane that they're trying to merge into.
The whole point of a slip lane is for you to get up to speed to merge into traffic. And the people who get into these slip lanes and just like start to brake.
Oh, that's the worst, because someone in that lane is either going to stomp the brake and let you in or punch it to get ahead and let you in.
There's a special spot.
Yeah.
now
It's
for people
entirely illegal for them to enforce their right of way and cause an accident. If an accident does occur, it's on them.
Yeah, that's it. People just need to learn how to merge, is the takeaway from this. But
Exactly.
you know what gets me a little bit? We live in a world with modern cars, all with pretty reasonable braking capabilities. It's much easier to slow down. And no, I'm not getting into the speed limit argument. I'm actually getting into, you know how there's slip lanes for when you're turning off? Like if you're coming up to a set of lights. So that slip lane, that extra lane, is so long so you have time to brake.
Exactly.
And when you get down, if you're in an 80 and the slip lane is to turn off right, and you get down to like 30 or 40 before you're even in that lane, that does my head in. You're going to cause an accident. Actually, while we're on this topic, though, thoughts on the laws that are being imposed for, no matter what the speed limit is, if an emergency vehicle has flashing lights on the side of the road, it's a 40 zone.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Depends on the road. So, for instance, if it's a narrow street, speed limit's already 50. It's not hard to slow down to 40.
Yeah, that's absolutely reasonable.
If you're on a major highway and the incident is right around a bend, that's something bad. Like if it's in a position where the visibility is skewed, then you've got other factors to consider. But for the most part, I don't necessarily think it should be 40, maybe 60, but it should just be really common sense. Like, you see flashing lights, everybody should either slow down and clear a lane, or slow down and move away. It should be a common sense thing as opposed to a legislation thing.
I think slow down a little bit, but no slower than in a 110. I don't think any slower than 80.
No.
And I say that because, one, I didn't think this was a big problem before. Did you guys ever hear of anyone getting hit? Any emergency service personnel or otherwise on the side of the road with flashing lights? You see the flashing lights, no one gets hit.
I think it's more in terms of they looked at it as though when you see construction workers next to a road, or it is roadworks, the speed limit goes down. Like, even people just doing weed spraying on the side of the road, the speed limit goes down. So if you're looking at it in terms of an occupational health and safety issue, then obviously things need to equal out.
Then why are those rights not applicable to everybody? So if you're NRMA, there's no rule about slowing down for NRMA vehicles. If you're just someone who happens to have a flat tire and you've got your hazards on the side of the road, or for whatever reason, if you're taking a phone call on the side of the road and you've got your hazards on and your indicator on, theoretically the same rule should apply. It's the same. It is the exact same principle.
Yeah, realistically,
It just seems like another, like, the only sort of good thing about it is you can probably get away with going at 60 past them because I don't think they speed check you. I think it's just a rule, but it just seems like more revenue raising.
And if they're engaged in an activity, if you've got a cop who's just pulled someone over for speeding or anything like that, they're not about to just jump in their car because someone was doing 60 when they should have been doing 40 right there.
That's going on what Aiden said. It's like the shittest revenue raising scheme they've ever done. Because when this law got passed, we're driving to like Braddon, which is a pretty popular, like,
I don't know, Canberra hipster scene.
It's a popular area in
scene,
Canberra, just outside the city.
And police have sat on the side of this 2-lane road that's always busy. It's got an extra lane to merge into, and they're sitting there with their lights on, and everyone, no reason, no cars pulled over there, sitting there with their lights on, so just to see if everybody slows down to 40 going past them.
I get annoyed with what we use police resources for.
It's ridiculous.
So I think the biggest one is, you know what I heard was on the highway that have police officers on buses that are going, like, let's say it's a bus from Canberra to Sydney. Police officers on a bus, and you know how when you're on a bus, especially those highway ones, you can look down into the vehicles. Yeah. They're looking down and pinning people who are on their mobile phone and then calling ahead to the cops on the highway, giving them the number plate saying, yeah, we saw them on their mobile phone. Is that what you became a police officer for? Like, I don't want to be one of those, go catch the real criminal kind of guys, but like
FTP.
No, but I just feel like there are definitely... No, absolutely not. I would absolutely love to become a police officer one day. This is not going to help. But
yeah.
Surely there's better things. There's got to be better things. And don't get me wrong, I have lots of respect for police officers, but I can understand why some people don't. Even if they've had no run into the law, if they don't respect a police officer because of tricks like that.
I nearly feel like that's just someone in shiny boots, like
telling
them what to do. Like,
absolutely. It's
everyone's
probably
just following orders.
You're right. It's probably not on them, but
in that regard, you do have to look a little bit at how Australian policing works, because if you look at the ACT policing, they get quite a bit of funding from federal government because they're the Australian Federal Police. Whereas if you look at state policing, state and territory policing, they don't quite get the same funding. So to make up for it, they do have to really pull up the stumps with their revenue to actually make ends meet.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But why?
Yeah, that comes down to the big issue.
For every police officer that's on a bus, on a Greyhound bus, looking at people on their phone, that could potentially be a quicker response time to a serious incident.
Another baddie busted.
But seriously.
Yeah, it shouldn't come down to a fact where the law enforcement has to raise money. It should be the law enforcement is given enough money to do the job that we need them to do.
Surely there are some bikies in Chisholm they can
sit out. I'm sure we could point out a few houses. So just have a look in that house and just see what comes up.
We're going to have to cut. We're going to cut this in editing.
We've got a hit on us.
It's good stuff.
I think now would be an appropriate time to just make a little disclaimer. These are no way to be taken as our opinions or anyone else's opinions or otherwise. This is all for comedic purposes.
Entire work of fabrication.
This is no different to stand up.
This is Hollywood, baby.
No.
You think this is real? We're reading off a script.
Really,
right
really authentic.
These stutters that I keep making, it's on the script. It's only to make us more human. We're actually bots.
Day Junior.
I actually laugh in quite a deeper tone, but the script, it asks for a higher pitch, so there it is. Yeah, see? Joel gets it.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. All right. Should we move on? I think.
Probably should. Something not so...
related?
Political, maybe?
100%. Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
This is just...
This has become political commentary.
We've gotten big and deep very quickly.
We are now
We have
Alan
to change
Jones.
our podcast name.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even. Yeah.
Political
Like
satire with a few apprentices.
like our Instagram bio says, we really shouldn't have an opinion on this.
Yeah, we're absolutely commenting on topics that we have no right to. But I think we
The
do
average Pelican's opinion.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Bit of
average at
satire,
best.
if you will.
So that is why our next topic is going to be, who is the hottest musician? Guy and girl, actually.
Oh,
Wait, that's still a tough question. Like,
it's actually probably the toughest topic we've posed so far.
without a doubt.
If we're talking Katy Perry a few years back, like that
Yeah, that's
jungle
pretty.
song, whatever that was called.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger. No,
No, raw.
Raw. That's
Yeah.
it. Something to do with
That
tigers.
was something else. Or
Seeing it live.
the sweet one where I don't
Yeah.
know where
Oh,
she's got
yeah.
candy in the video.
Mm. And he's up
California
there.
Girls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
it was
Yeah.
a banger of a tune.
It's real weird that I know that.
Yeah, you're coming out with them all.
Yeah.
We should change this podcast to Ado Knows Music.
Aiden's music review.
Aiden
Triple
specifically
J,
knows
J,
Katy Perry.
Yeah, we love it.
We love music.
Hey, Jamie, we're on Triple J. We get copyrighted.
Raw FM has so many bangers.
So I'm always going to say Rihanna.
I am not going to say
Yeah,
Rihanna.
I disagree with that.
Get out of
Probably
here.
pretty extensive.
Fuck off, the both of you.
You know what's
I
hard?
don't know.
though?
I just don't like all that eyeshadow.
He's a
Oh,
bit-
wait, no, they're
That's Chris
bruises.
Brown.
Oh no.
Again, we're going to have to cut that in editing.
I'm keeping that in.
Yeah, we can't actually. We'll never be broadcast on Triple J now after that joke.
Absolutely.
Really
not.
similar to the full Bliss situation.
We'll be like Sticky Fingers. We'll play your music if you just apologise. Well, I didn't do it, so I'm not going to apologise.
Fuck off.
Except what they were accused for is a serious
Yeah.
crime.
What exactly was he accused
I'm
for?
pretty sure it was rape of a female.
That's...
Pretty bad.
But I think accused is the operative word.
That's really true in this
Was
day
he
and age.
charged? Unless you were charged, I'm going to say you didn't do it.
The only I've known nothing about this situation, so this is entirely like a, if you will, a conspiracy theory. But my idea is the girl that he was rooting saw, damn, this is my cash cow, and he didn't see it as anything else, and she's made up this story to like threaten him to.
Yeah, in this day and age, that's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
Which is actually personally really scary.
And in saying that, there is no evidence behind that. Don't quote me on it. If anything did happen and he is found guilty.
No. Okay, so I hadn't heard anything about that, and all I'm doing here is reading online, and it just says allegations of racism and violence.
Oh, then why the fuck don't they play his music?
Violent. This is absolutely something we all feel very strongly about. Violence against women is not okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have not heard of that. Any of that rape business. You know what? Let's go back to what we were talking about, which was hottest musician.
Yeah, sorry,
Again,
I've just had to hold up a little bit of a sign.
Okay, so we got 34 views on the last YouTube video as of, I think, this morning. If you're listening, just please just throw out a comment. Just say, comment on anything we've said, anything you think we should talk about, any constructive but not too mean criticism, but particularly who you think is the hottest musician.
We are fragile.
Yeah,
Do not hurt
there's
our
a,
feelings.
one of us has already gotten out of the trade. The other two, we're on a thin thread. We're struggling.
I liked Kesha when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was really attractive in most of her music video clips.
I think I could get around. Can we get around Christina Aguilera? I think I like her music.
I reckon that actually
To be-
plays a big factor in
I
the
like
whole
Seal's music.
I
thing. No, but for instance, like if someone can sing, that's a pretty desirable trait. That
Yeah,
might
they're
make that
attractive.
person quite a bit more attractive to you.
Hold up, is it Josh? Because do you pull? And I know you can sing. Out of three of us in this room, you can't sing.
All right, but who has heard me sing? The
Us.
3 people in this room, and Mum.
She does say you're a gorgeous boy.
Yeah.
I don't know that she does.
No,
I've not
she
heard
even
it.
doesn't. No amount of vocal talent can help.
Yeah, when you look at the head, like we've really got to look at what balances out: my head or my vocal talent.
We'll put you on the voice then.
Nah, that's gonna go poorly.
Why?
Just cause I got a crooked
The
head.
stench. No,
Yeah, that
that's
too.
where you sing and they have to turn around.
Oh, okay. Well, no, but that's talking about like musical talent. That's not talking about me pulling.
You might make it through audition,
Yeah, exactly.
but after,
No chance.
Is Adam Levine a good looking roaster?
yes.
You know who actually, this is a weird thing to be impressed by, but I'm impressed by the fact that Pharrell Williams just does not seem to age. I don't know if he's a
Yeah, that is
really
impressive.
attractive dude or not, but I got to see how. Actually, I'm just going to Google Pharrell Williams age. Get back to me. Wow, that is. If you say Pharrell, you don't even have to finish spelling Pharrell, and it will come up with Pharrell Williams' age as the second result.
I'm impressed. That's a
He's
good.
46. He looks.
Wow.
Look at that. He looks 20 something.
You know what? You've got to think though. He was in Daft Punk's Get Lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
now
but
I've only
Blurred
thought of
Lines
him-
was before that, wasn't it?
No.
Don't think so.
God,
I've only thought of him as pretty popular in more recent years, but if you look at it, yeah, he did Daft Punk's Get Lucky, and I thought that was a killer song.
He did also produce Robin Thicke's
Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. I thought Blurred Lines was before that.
Oh, you did say that.
Daft Punk, Get Lucky,
Yeah. Golly.
release date. So,
Another heartthrob. Harry Styles.
I've never been too keen on like his singing. I just haven't enjoyed.
You know who has got the least
super
amount
much.
of talent out of that group? Louis Tomlinson. Or whatever his name is.
okay, so can I just say that they were both released in 2013?
Well, hey,
Wow.
look at that.
So, next time we look at me like a fucking idiot, and it hasn't got the month here just quickly for Get Lucky, but Blurred Lines was March. That is early on in the piece.
It is pretty early.
You're going to have to get up the other one.
Yeah, we do need to do a comparison now.
So
fact,
we can
fact
call you
checking.
a fucking idiot when you're wrong. Nah.
Yes.
Damn
It was. Yes.
Bugger.
Okay, so March 26th was Blurred Lines, and 19th of April, Josh Harper's birthday,
There we go.
was Get Lucky by Daft Punk. So,
And I have done nothing but not get lucky since that day.
Fuck you, Pharrell. We're taking you down.
We're going to stop your supply of L'Oreal anti-aging cream.
He's,
intercept his monthly shipment.
he's so much richer than that. He just gets like freshly murdered jellyfish and just rubs on his face.
Hey, he just moved to a different brand.
Breakouts? That's just proactive.
You know what?
He's never used Proactive?
It was a really funny ad by Proactive when they put Kendall Jenner on.
Oh, yeah.
Never
She's
seen it.
gorgeous anyway. Don't Photoshop like a few pimples on there. People get pimples. Don't say like she might have felt self-conscious. I imagine I'd feel self-conscious as well if I was a fucking angel and I got a few pimples every once in a while.
Yeah,
And if
because
I was-
you grow accustomed to a certain standard of living, don't you?
yeah,
You know? I
God complex to
mortal.
yeah.
Really?
What do you think of on the Kardashian train? Kim Kardashian doing what do you call it? Going through law school, except she doesn't need to go through law school. All she needs to do is 3 years of like trainee with a lawyer.
I'm pretty sure she has a family member that's a very famous lawyer who worked on the O.J. Simpson case.
That
But-
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so besides, and look, to anyone else, we probably sound like fucking idiots because this should just be common knowledge, but keep in mind we're millennials. So, O.J. Simpson, So his main famous lawyer was Johnny Cochran. So the Dream Team lawyers who he hired was Robert Shapiro, Johnny Cochran, who I like him because of the theatrics. South Park did a big thing on him, that it was like the Chewbacca case. And they're like, this is a picture of Chewbacca. If Chewbacca's on the page, you must acquit. Like, he just, bit like me, talked out of his ass and got this guy off murder. Like, it was very...
So
it's
did Ted Bundy, though.
It's cool. Yeah, it was cool to watch.
Did you say Robert Kardashian?
Yeah, Robert.
Is that the attractive brother who's always on, like, Keeping Up with the Kardashians and just, like, eating and, like, just judging his sisters?
He looks like a bit of a silver fox here. Is that the gent you're talking about?
Negative.
No, definitely not.
I'm pretty sure. Who plays Ross on Friends?
I'm sure it's on the intro, but for the life of me, I've never read the names.
Let me help you.
I have. It is. Oh, David Schwimmer.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sure he played Robert Kardashian in a movie.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and he looks similar. Okay, so we were talking about something though before we went off on this ridiculous tangent. Kardashians.
Oh, no.
No, but I kind of want to
before.
just go back to the Kardashian thing for a little bit. Because again, this topic of all, we probably have no fucking right
the
to
absolute
comment on.
least.
Because not
Hey,
only...
I've watched a couple episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Really?
I was forced to back in year 8.
This makes
forced
perfect
to.
sense, actually.
No, I was by a previous girlfriend.
Yeah, right. There's only been one. Really.
2.
What? Oh, yeah, whatever.
It's the loneliest number since number 1. So.
Actually, I think I've probably watched all up in my life. You could probably piece together it to be worth a full episode, just with Mum sitting on the couch with that fucking Arena channel on. What a rubbish bit of television that is.
Oh yeah.
I'm nearly for it.
Arena.
So actually, no, I'm straight MTV. Geordie Shore, X on the Beach, Jersey. Not so much Jersey Shore because I can't stand their fucking accent.
I haven't watched Jersey Shore or Geordie Shore, but I'd probably know enough of the characters from all the X on the Beach I've watched.
X on the Beach is unreal.
What a show. I can't imagine being that sunburnt all the time, though. I feel pain watching it.
I cannot watch those shows. I absolutely hate them.
The thing that astounds me the most is how much every guy looks similar. Like, they're all cut from the same.
Yeah, it's like when you watch the Bachelor. You look at all the girls on it, and you do a comparison of all their faces and all their profiles, and things get pretty similar.
I guess once you get that attractive, there's not much room to go.
There's not a little wiggle room, right? Because
I don't know about that. Like,
Oh,
you
there's
look at them
different sorts
compared
of
to Emma
attractive.
Watson.
no, but there's different sorts of attractive. But realistically, no. But you put Emma Watson's hair down, pop her in a dress, and send her up there waiting for a rose. She would not look out of place at all.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Because it's that Fibonacci like golden ratio thing. I thought like there's within that ratio, is what we determine attractiveness.
Don't you mean the 3 bears?
What?
The porridge? Not Little Red Riding Hood, the other one?
Goldilocks.
Goldilocks? Fibonacci, fuck that off. The Goldilocks ratio. I'm cutting this bit out.
I know what Aiden's talking about, but I don't think that's necessarily...
They did a thing.
I wouldn't relate that with attractiveness. I'd relate that with general... the golden ratio appeals to the human eye.
The human face and the golden ratio. And then they've got the golden ratio circled over human faces.
From here, this looks like Benedict Cumberbatch.
It is.
That is Benedict
Well,
Cumberbatch.
that explains everything.
Yeah.
But does it make them attractive? Like
think
the Mona
it's meant
Lisa.
to,
The
'cause-
Mona Lisa. The reason people can stare at it for so long and be so amazed by it is because it's painted to the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. That's why it's so interesting. And I think it makes a face interesting, but I don't necessarily think it makes them attractive.
So, the ideal result, as defined by the golden ratio, is roughly 1.6, which means that a beautiful person's face is about 1.5 times longer than it is wide.
I
Fuck
almost
me
want to
dead,
get a
I'm
tape
out.
measure out and
Yeah, I'm out.
see how we fit.
I feel square. I feel like I got a square head.
What are we talking about? 3 dimensions.
I don't know.
One of us
No, I
might be
think
a right face on.
No, I think it's just a 2D.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be.
If we bring
Well, just a
profile
face.
into it, I'm out.
Yeah.
Send me home.
So we were talking back to the core root of this topic. It was who was the most attractive singer or artist / musician.
Do you guys find Beyonce that attractive?
I think,
She's pretty.
yeah, not like J-Lo though.
Not J-Lo pretty. No, you did it right.
I think Jennifer Lopez. Most people would say Beyonce, but I think Jennifer Lopez.
Demi Lovato's very attractive. When she's not frothing from the mouth. Controversy.
That close to an Amy Winehouse joke. Thought, nah, better not.
Too soon? Not at all. What was it?
No, it's just she died of a drug overdose.
Yeah, I know. What was the joke you were going to make?
Oh, she's really frothing at the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Drug overdose.
Flat. Like her heartbeat.
That's weird. Hey, she's part of that 27 club. So there's like,
when they're 27.
yeah, and it's a long list of people.
Same with everyone who died David Bowie's age, whatever that was. Didn't the dude who played Professor Snape off Harry Potter die at the age as well? There was a few of them.
I'm not sure.
So just on a quick Google search, apparently Beyonce comes up as number 9. This is like completely random. This is just Wonder List, however reputable that is. I really have no idea. Probably not very. Yeah, so apparently Beyonce comes in at number 9. Jackie Ivanko, number 8. Ariana Grande comes in at number 7.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Look, she has an appeal. I don't know if it's absolutely for me, but
In my
I
head-
disagree with that Jackie Ivanko thing. I think there's probably more attractive, not to be disrespectful to her in any way, shape, or form.
In my head, Ariana Grande is like attractive if you're 12 years old.
Yeah, she's got that. I think that's what makes her less attractive now is the fact that she's got sort of like a schoolgirl appeal.
Very
Like she's
youthful,
yeah, and that's sort of a bit weird. But her more recent songs make her seem more sort of
Yeah.
like, it's weird that her music does. You're right, the music does adjust her attractiveness because as her songs have sort of grown up a little bit, I'm like, yeah,
Exactly.
sweet.
According to this, Taylor Swift is rated number 1.
No.
Nah,
Get
I
that fucking
wouldn't-
string bean out of you.
that fucking
God.
that's well out of whack. That list.
She's okay, but
Yeah, I don't trust
Okay,
the legitimacy
best.
of this list.
Who's the main Jonas brother? He's quite attractive,
Nick.
is he not? Yeah.
I think it's Nick. Yeah, he's quite attractive compared to the other two.
The other
Really
two are
attractive.
like skinny as, and he's actually got
He's
a bit
got
of muscle on
Bit
him.
of beef to him.
Yeah.
All right, so apart from Pharrell, who's the most attractive male?
We didn't say Pharrell was attractive.
Yeah.
Just doesn't age.
Well, all right. I mean, he's not unattractive, is he?
Nah.
Would it
He's
have to be like a? I don't think Shawn Mendes is that attractive because he also appeals to that like youthful.
The youthful thing. But I think maybe... I don't think we're the correct 3 straight men to comment on the most attractive male. Because I think what we probably see is what we'd like us to look like is different to what women view. Like, they like that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
us, we're like, yeah, but if you're not jacked...
Just in terms of like an attractive or seductive voice,
Pitbull.
I'm just going to say Bublé.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Bublé's
As
got
far
it
as
for
a
that.
yeah, I just like his
Personality as
music,
well.
but
Exactly.
Lovely
and he is
guy.
funny. I heard this radio show with him, an interview with him, and they were talking about how he's brought out this new album and whatnot, and his daughter got pretty sick for a while there, and I think she's okay now. But they're like, what sort of made you decide it was time again, to start and bring out another album? And he's like, well, mostly the money, actually. I've got this pretty bad gambling addiction. And they're like, what? What? And he's like, no, I'm joking. It was just time.
I'm trying to. My mind's gone blank with male singers.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anymore.
So
That's
again,
it.
a quick list.
G-Eazy.
A quick list on Google pulls up all young sort of like boy band,
Yeah. I
don't think that works for it at all. I think that's a crock in terms of
I
the
don't
actual
think,
demographic.
I feel like Justin Bieber's getting more attractive. Wasn't a fan when he got the like full chest piece tattoo, like the full body sort of thing. But I think he's come out of that youthful demographic. I think.
I think the least attractive thing about him was his hair.
The mob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
How dare you? No, yeah, that was awful.
It's big for that time though.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, God, people would froth over it.
That was when Tumblr was like huge.
It's hard because I could probably cut most of this conversation.
In terms of like your interest in it.
No, I just mean the content all about. Not all of it. I like the start of where this headed.
I'm saying this now. I brought onto this topic to ease us into an outro. Something small. We've ended up talking maybe 25 minutes past.
You've
when it
really
was
let us
brought up.
run on with that, haven't you?
All right. Well, what I think we'll do is just quickly before we wrap up, if you have made it this long into the podcast, well done you.
Thanks.
So a couple little plans that I think we've got for the future. Mentioned the Dougcast the last episode. So if you didn't listen, the Dougcast is going to be a separate series. Maybe sometimes episodes in place of our regular podcast, but we'll just have one of our mates on because they're duds. That concept was brought to us by Joel's twin. We're also looking at just doing some shorter podcasts that are based solely on one topic. That might be one drug, one religion, one anything.
Movies,
Sport.
TV show.
Yeah, there could be reviews. And we're looking into, hopefully soon enough, getting a visual component to these as well. I don't really have much else to say for this evening. Anyone got any final notes or points that we want to give out to the listeners?
Well, hopefully by the time this podcast is released, we'll be on Spotify, iTunes, and possibly Anchor.
Look, and also looking into Google Podcasts as well.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you've got any other ideas, any other platforms that you think we should look at getting ourselves onto, please do let us know.
I think that's a big thing. If everyone could, if you see what we're doing and hear it, and even if you don't really like it, we'd love for you to send in some feedback and let us know what we might be able to do to make it more interesting for you and your friends and whatnot, because we really just want to get out there, and we want to learn as much as we want to have opinions on things. So yeah, if you can give us some info and we can run with that as to how you want it to run, that'd work for us as well.
Yeah, I think we're really happy to take this in any and all directions. You can also write to us wayoffcentral@gmail.com, no caps. And yeah, by all means, follow us on Insta. We haven't really done anything with a Facebook page, but it is there if you really want to search it.
Exactly. At the end of the day, we're trying to make this work, and we're just three guys
with no experience in the industry, just having a go. And
the tutorials that were searched in the last 2-3 weeks is unfathomable.
yeah, if you knew the hours of just listening to people drone on, they were podcasting on about how to do a podcast.
We made a 40-second video for our Instagram. You would not believe how long it took to get that off of my computer.
So we spent, like, just so you can maybe appreciate, maybe not, because really this is a hobby and a bit of fun for us, and hopefully a bit of fun for just a few of you as well. We made, as practice content, probably about an hour and a half at least, and out of that we got about 2 40-second clips that we've taken, popped on Insta. We might be able to get a few more scrapped together. But yeah, just to take those clips out, it's been a little bit of work in it. So I hope people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
The few that are listening.
So,
And even if you aren't, stick with it. Tell us what you want, and maybe we'll be able to help each other out.
We could probably make it happen. What's more money at this point?
We are very open to trying new things.
exactly. Yeah, so we'll give you ears a rest there. So this has been another episode of Way Off Central. I hope you've enjoyed and tune in next time. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.
See you guys.